Hey there. We are finishing up a pretty full day of meetings today. At 10 o'clock, we started with the Joint Commission on Healthcare, where we heard a presentation about transportation issues within certain aspects of healthcare. And then we also voted on some of the policy proposals that we had heard last meeting about the fentanyl crisis and what further steps the Commonwealth can take in dealing with that. And so we passed 11 policy proposals that are either budget amendments or legislative ideas that will help combat that crisis that we as legislators were, I guess, promising to work on in the 2026 session. So, if that's something that you're interested in, I would definitely take a look at that. And I'll make sure that you have the links for watching the Joint Commission on Healthcare. Then I had some meetings in between with some stakeholders about elections administration, voting rights. We talked a little bit about food banks, and there was another call about something. I don't know. It's been a long day, but lots of calls, lots of conversations. We are at the process where legislators are putting in the ideas for our legislation for next year. And so lots of conversations about some of the possible solutions to really important issues that are happening across the Commonwealth. And then at 2 o'clock, we had a virtual Commission to End Hunger meeting where we heard presentations on some of the programs that are happening across the Commonwealth. One was a report dealing on how seniors are impacted by food insecurity here in the city of Richmond. And then a pilot program to increase the workforce, thus also bettering the quality of school meals across some of the areas in the Commonwealth. And then there was another presentation about some of the programs that VDAX has. As it pertains to food assistance programs at the state level. And we also heard from the Commonwealth Institute, who is a go-to organization on not only crunching numbers and really good with interpreting data for different trends, but also helping to put faces to the numbers. So say, for instance, I received an email that about 61,000 people in Newport News would be impacted should the SNAP benefits not be funded for the month of November. And so that is just one city of, I think there's 133 localities in Virginia. So imagine, the tune to which that is very problematic. And so we heard from them on what that would mean for the more immediate potential SNAP crisis should the federal level continue to choose not to fund SNAP with the shutdown. And I want to be very clear. This is not a money issue, as I said during the meeting. If we have money to demolish parts of the White House and rebuild it for a ballroom, if we have 40 billion for another country who may be in need, however, we have need here in this country. If we have money for weapons of genocide and war in other parts of the country, I mean, of the world, it seems like we should have money to make sure that children, veterans, the elderly, working people, furloughed employees have these SNAP benefits or access to funding. So the call is for us to make sure that we are communicating with our representative in the Congress, so your House of Representatives, and then also our two United States senators, who I know personally, Senator Kane and Senator Warner want SNAP benefits to go out. My congressman is Congressman Scott. I know he doesn't want children to go hungry. There is $6 billion in contingency funding that, though would not be the total amount needed for SNAP to continue in November, could really help. And also, this administration has transferred tariff funding to cover WIC in October. WIC is not covered for November. So, as we're talking about the crisis for November, it was brought to our attention that it is both SNAP and WIC. But anyway, just focusing right now on SNAP, there are things that this federal administration can do in order for this to still be funded. It is not a money issue. It is a policy decision. It is you have to show up and be called into session in order to vote on some of these things or some of the things that the president's administration can do within their own sphere. But I've heard the other side say, well, that's why Democrats need to come back to the table and work on this shutdown. What I need for people to understand, in the district that I have the honor of serving, at one time, the 85th district had 45% of my constituents, the constituents I serve, on Medicaid. 45% on Medicaid. So the people that I am talking about that need food assistance, and the neighbors that I am talking about who also either need Medicaid or need the ACA healthcare tax credits to continue so that their healthcare premiums do not double, triple, or quadruple so much that they can't afford healthcare. These are some of the same people. And you can't be healthy without healthcare. You can't be healthy without food. So the fight that is happening, it's a false choice to say that it's between healthcare or SNAP. I am old enough to remember all of the previous shutdowns where some of the services still continued, some of the jobs still continued. These are intentional choices that are being made. And as has been said, cruelty is the point. And so I need for us to be clear-eyed when we are discussing, well, what can the state do? What can food banks do? Ma'ams, sirs, theys, we do not have $140 million that it would take to fund SNAP laying around at the state level. This is on the federal government. It's on the leadership of the trifecta for the Senate, the House, and the president to get their stuff together in order to make sure that residents live, that we have health care and food. Not too much to ask. That's not a radical thought. If you can be talking about private jets, if you have money to fund kidnappings on city streets, if you have all of this, then we have money to fund feeding children. This is a lot longer than I had planned for this update to be. It's a lot more energetic than I had planned. But anyway, I need you to watch that meeting from the 2 o'clock Commission to End Hunger meeting today. Y'all, this is not incoming crisis. This is crisis right now. And so it's an all hands on deck sort of situation. Yes, we are going to see what we can do at the state level, but please understand the state of Commonwealth of Virginia does not have enough money or access to enough resources in the current form of our budget in order to backfill all of the cuts that are coming, in order to help all of the federal workers that are being laid off, in addition to, as we said, the SNAP benefits for veterans, children, elderly, working families. We are at a very dire situation. And if you are on SNAP, I need you to please reach out to us. Please let us know what it is you're experiencing. If you've had reductions in your benefits, if you have received a letter, we have gotten the letter, so we have the copy of that. But please know that we are here to hear from you, so we know exactly what's going on. We've been in touch with the departments that are dealing with this in several different localities. But I have not spoken with any of my Democratic colleagues that we are not attuned to this situation and doing everything that we can. But just understand this is a federal government issue, and we need the federal government to do its job. Like I said, both healthcare, keeping all the federal jobs. And you know what? Since I'm already longer than I thought, the way that people are demonizing federal workers. I follow a couple accounts on TikTok and Instagram, and I remember not too long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, we used to get emails about recalls, and it would be really important. We would put it out to our platforms and make sure that, families were aware of these recalls. And it is private citizens that are doing the job right now that we used to have federal workers doing. I don't know if you know what listeria is. Look it up. You don't want it in your food. And recently there was a contact solution. There were the corn dogs and the pancake corn dogs. There was a ton of food that is given to our schools that was being recalled. And so federal workers are not just some people that sit on their bum and just like eat up the tax dollar. That is just not the reality. Cancer research, people that are telling you whether or not your food, your air, and your water are healthy. I just processing passports, processing, benefits. The federal government is supposed to be there to serve the people. And this demonizing of their work is just weird. And it is misplaced anger. Yes, are there systems that we need to reform and make better? 100%. But firing three-quarters of a department is not going to make their response time quicker. It is going to make the average person's life more miserable. So that is all for today because now I need to go touch grass. But yeah, there's some pretty serious things going on. I would encourage you to watch the videos of our meetings because we are discussing some of these things. We are clocked into what it is that is going on at the federal level and trying our best to answer to it on the state level. I will also remind you that early voting is going on right now, and the direction of how we will continue to respond to the chaos, the cuts, and the confusion at the federal level is dependent upon your showing up and exercising your vote. I am in my official office right now, so I can't tell you who to vote for, but I do encourage you to make sure that your voice is heard, and that is by voting in person early at the Newport News now has our three voting locations open, City Hall, City Center, and also the Denby Community Center. I will make sure that you have the hours and days and times for that. You can also request your ballot be mailed to you. The deadline to request that your ballot be mailed to you is Friday by 5 p.m. or whatever day the 24th is. Let's double check that. Yep, the 24th by 5 p.m. You need to have requested that. You can call, fax. I don't know if you have a fax, but you can call or email or go online to your citizen portal to request that be mailed to you. And you can also vote on election day, whether you're early voting or you are voting on election day. There is same day voter registration. So if you're using the website to register or change your information, you need to do that by 5 p.m. Might be midnight, but let's say 5 just to make sure. 5 p.m. on Friday as well to do traditional voter registration. If not, you can go in and vote early and register on the same day by provisional ballot or on election day. We have all of these things, curbside voting, all of these things to make it as easy as possible for you to vote. So I need for y'all to make sure y'all show up because whatever you think about today, it can get better, but it can also get worse. And so we need to make sure that we hear all of your voices at the ballot box. And with that, I will end, but look for another update coming from me very soon. And I will make sure I'm out of this building so that I can speak my mind even more freely. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.